Well, what was the secret behind Bama's strong portal finish?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for joining us every day because you guys have helped make Locked On the number one sports podcast network there is. Also, last night, I'm here in Biloxi with the Bobo Baj. And the reason I call it the Bobo Baj, I have a friend who comes here all the time. And when his daughter was like 3, she had a little toy car. And he said, "Oh, that's cute, honey. Where are you going?" She goes, "I'm going to the Bobo Baj," because that's where her dad went all the time. So pretty funny. Anywho, I did meet a guy last night, very late, and I was on the phone, so I didn't get to talk to him. But he said, "Hey, that's Luke Robinson, and watch the podcast. Appreciate you. Whoever you are, you know who you are." The portal, man. Alabama finished with a flurry. Alabama finished with a few knockout punches. I thought Alabama ended up being very, very good in the portal. I mean, I know it had its doubters. I know you didn't get a Cam Coleman. You didn't get the kid from Jacarius Peak from North Carolina State. But you did good. You did good, Bama. You got some really good ones late.
Well, finish is also misleading because Alabama is going to continue to add guys from the portal. So finished in the sense of no more Alabama players are allowed to enter the portal. Now, the deadline was Friday night at midnight. By Friday night at midnight, what that deadline means is players on the team that want to leave have until Friday night at midnight to submit to the university that they plan to leave in the portal. Then Alabama's got 2 or 3 days to actually enter that information publicly. But per who I've talked to, also per sources at BOL, also, I don't believe that happened. I don't believe so. It's impossible to know for sure for a day or two. So I'm not warranting that information, but I don't believe any Alabama players entered late, which is a little bit of a surprise for a couple of guys we'll talk about after that time has passed and say, God, I was a little surprised that guy didn't leave. But I'm glad they didn't because I didn't want any other single player to leave. The numbers were too low. Alabama added a bunch of guys that we're going to talk about, but Alabama remains in the running. You can continue to sign players all the way through February 13th or 14th at Alabama. I suspect Alabama, Luke, may add, I'm going to say 5 or 6 more guys from the portal and a couple of surprises on late signing day too. Alabama's got a lot of room, a lot of scholarships, some money, and scholarships. So they'll continue to add here, but it was a very strong finish to the portal closing weekend.
Well, let's start with the guy who actually committed after we went live Friday. Let's go ahead and knock him out first. That's Nick Brooks from Texas. We alluded to the fact we thought Bama would get him, and then just as we sign off, Alabama gets him.
Yeah, at least we talked about him because we knew that was sort of imminent or very possible that he would commit that quickly. He did. Nick Brooks is one of the better players Alabama signed in the portal, in my opinion. This is a guy who is either a day one starter on the offensive line or at worst is a major contender to start. He has positional versatility. Texas initially placed him at left tackle. When he was at Texas, he played left tackle throughout the spring there. So that's how they viewed him. They then had injuries during the fall and had to shuffle on the offensive line. As we know, Texas struggled early in the season. A big part of that was due to offensive line, youth, and injuries. And when they had injuries, they moved Nick Brooks to a starter, but he was starting at guard, even though he hadn't practiced there very much. So he has 3 or 4 SEC starts. He didn't love how that freshman season went at Texas. Probably felt a little bit thrown to the wolves or thrown into the deep end. What should have been a redshirt year was not a redshirt year for him because he had to play. But now he comes to Alabama with experience and practicing in the SEC against obviously elite players in practice at tackle and guard. My feeling is he ends up at guard at Alabama, but I'm not certain of that because I think the kid sees himself as a tackle and he is 6'7". And you can do your
6'7". Yeah, I mean, look, man, I can't tell y'all. I've been playing poker and blackjack for like 18 hours straight. No kidding. And every time somebody has 6'7", or they get a 6'7" on black, I'm talking about the entire table. Now it's all old people who are completely out of touch like myself, but it is hilarious. And it's really hilarious when you've had something to drink. I'll tell you,
drinking now. Normal morning sweet tea.
I had one guy who sat next to a super guy, but he had a lot to drink, and my brother and I were leaving the table, and it was the 2 down cards for his blackjack, and it was just double deck. And he looked up, he had 3-2 in the hole. She gives him a 6, looking at a 10, and I said, "Man, give him a big boy." And he looked at me like this, and he sort of winked, and he slid his 2 cards under the chips, meaning I stay on 11. And I said, "Oh God, please no, please hit." and he goes, "Oh yes," and he hit, and he got 21, so it worked out. It was a monster bet. But anyway,
he owed you some chips.
He was an interesting cat. So all right, then the next guy to fall for Alabama was Ethan Fields, another SEC guy with a lot of SEC experience. Ethan Fields from Ole Miss, 6'3", 320-pound. He was a 3-star back in high school, if that means anything to you. Redshirted in 2023, played in 4 games in 24, and appeared in every single Ole Miss game this year. So he's a redshirt junior with 2 years left. Again, I like this pickup a lot. It's not Jacarius Peak. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying this is a really good pickup, though.
It is. It is. He's obviously a guy that's got some level of experience, and he was really a 2 at Ole Miss this past season. Of course, Ole Miss had a very good offensive line. That's why they went as far as they did. The fact that he wasn't a full-time starter at Ole Miss doesn't mean he can't be a full-time starter at Alabama this year. He'll be 1 year better. And again, Alabama's situation might not be what Ole Miss's was a year ago at their really good team. So he will be a contender to start. I wouldn't pencil him into the starting lineup just yet, but he will be a contender to start. And Alabama needed not only an upgrade in talent level, what Alabama really needed is bodies and competition and guys that can push other people. He checks those boxes for sure. Ethan Fields, solid pickup from Ole Miss.
All right, so what I really love about both these guys, obviously, they both come from the SEC. And while a lot of people were worried about Racing Delgatti, who you and I have said we love, we think Racing Delgatti is going to be good. We have had some people text us on the side say, "Man, why are we getting Cal Poly guys?" We tried to tell everybody, let's be a little patient. Yes, you can. If you're mad we didn't get Peak, you're mad we didn't get Hollywood Smothers, you're mad we didn't get Cam Coleman. Okay, I mean that's fair. They're the bigger names. But these are the dudes that are really going to help us win, if you ask me. I mean,
we got Ethan Fields from Ole Miss and Nick Brooks from Texas. I think Racing Delgatti has every bit the chance those two do to be a starting player at Alabama this fall. Delgatti, to me, is the equivalent, if not better, than Brooks and Fields. For those that
I'm 100% on board. I'm on board.
He had 20 offers from FBS schools. Racing Delgatti did 20. I
mean, look, I hear you. I'm one of those that would rather take a kid from 7A than 1A. I'm all that kind of stuff. But
yep.
I think Racing Delgatti is pretty good. Again, not saying he's all SEC. Just saying I think we did pretty well. We're going to tell you about maybe the prize of Alabama's Portal Haul right after this. How about a little FanDuel, though? Man, the NFL playoffs, good Lord. Except for last night. Last night was kind of blah. But the NFL playoffs also here. FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on action every single game of the playoffs, because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use your profit boost on bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite when you think a team controls the matchup. Take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset is coming, or build a parlay around players and moments you think decide the game. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. Crazy. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get in on all the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every single game. Jimmy Stein guarantee. All right, so the crown jewel of the portal class, Terence Green from Oregon. Is that what we're saying? Is that what were we all in agreement?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not sure. I want to give that some additional thought. I'm a big Caleb Woodson fan, and I think there's a couple other guys, but Terence Green might be as important as any one player. Caleb Tompkins is also very good. I would say Tompkins is up there, but Terence Green is a definitive in the rotation defensive lineman with a big body. I mean, that makes him critical. I think it was just absolutely critical to add a couple of big bodied interior defensive line guys who could come in and play day one. And this is one. In that sense, this is a home run. And he may prove to be the crown jewel of the transfer portal class, especially in the sense of how highly recruited he was. Terence Green, by the way, Alabama pressured him like, we need you to commit and not go on any more visits because we want this to be over. And meanwhile, schools like Ohio State were trying to get Terence Green on campus. They failed to get him on campus because he signed with Alabama. He will be a challenger to start immediately, and no worse than in the rotation. What's interesting about him is he's a nose guard, and you can put him at nose guard to kind of replace Tim Keenan, but he's athletic enough to see snaps at the defensive tackle spot, the spot vacated by James Smith. He can play either spot. That makes him very valuable. I think his best football is at nose guard. Alabama's got London Simmons. So I think the great news here is between London Simmons and Terence Green, pretty good situation at nose guard for Alabama going forward.
Call me crazy, but that's why, to me, I think Terence Green is the crown jewel of this class over Devin Tompkins. I think Devin Tompkins was the guy to go with, and I understand if you want to go Devin Tompkins, who I think most places actually have rated higher. But I do look at it like this. Like, I think Terence Green is more Tim Keenan-y, and I would rather have another Tim Keenan than I would another James Smith. That's no knock on James Smith necessarily. It's just I think Tim Keenan was more impactful. So if you're going to give me somebody more like him, then I would rather have that.
Yeah, and it's harder to find. I mean, the defensive linemen with big, huge bodies that are capable of playing quickly, that's the hardest guys to find. And it's easier to find a quarterback, frankly, than to find those guys, like interior guys that are quality players. Now, Terrence Green didn't dent the stat sheet much. Let's be honest, neither did Tim Keenan. It's not a stat-making position. What you really are doing is occupying blockers and dissuading the other team from running the ball in the A gaps. You know, like, hey, be a two-gap player and have the A gap on either side of the center covered to where the other team's like, hey, you know what? Running it right up the middle against these guys probably isn't going to work very well. And that's what the nose guard's there for. And kind of be an immovable force and be important in short yardage. So in that sense, this guy's, he's weirdly built. He's 6'5", listed, I think, at 6'5", 320. But if you look at pictures of him, the dude is just massive. You look at him like, he's only 320. He's just a monstrous dude.
Then there's another guy that's out there. I mean, it's not done, like you said. I said the portal was done, but I meant it's not really done. It's only halfway done because you can't get in.
Yeah, it's done because you can't get in.
Yeah. Desmond Umeozulu. How's that sound?
I think that's exactly right. Umeozulu. I think that's right.
From South Kakalaki. Most sources think Crimson Tide is in the front here. He's been behind Dylan Stewart, which, you know, that's not bad. I mean, it's like, yeah, you're getting Courtney Cox, not Jennifer Aniston. Okay. I'm pretty good with that. He's a pass rusher. Is he a wolf or a bandit? I think that's up for debate, but I think he can play a few different spots. So really excited about him. And then there's other couple of announcements. MJ Churgwin. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, MJ Churgwin. Yeah, he's been on the team since
he was in the transfer portal. For those of you who don't remember, he caught a touchdown pass, I believe, is actually from Keelan Russell. Correct. In the Louisiana Monroe game. And look, he's probably not going to play a ton. That's okay, because we need the bodies, and he's been with the team for a lot, so he does know the system. So he has decided to pull his name out of the portal. That's a big deal. And then former Yellow
and is being placed on scholarship, which is sort of the big deal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. He was a walk-on in his 4 years at Alabama. He's from California and had been out there for 4 years. Got to play in some games, and as Luke said, caught a touchdown pass against Louisiana Monroe. He went in the transfer portal because he wanted to go someplace where he could play and perhaps even be on scholarship. And he was in the portal for a while, but Alabama had so many losses at wide receiver. They kept a line of communication there and said, hey, can we lure you back with a scholarship? So MJ Chirwin returns to Alabama for his 5th year and will be a scholarship player. Like Luke said, this wasn't somebody they signed to like push Ryan Williams or Latsier Brooks. I mean, that's not the situation. But Alabama's got 5 receivers, and that is it in terms of scholarship level players. 5. You need 9 or 10.
Yeah.
MJ Chirwin is going to be one of those 9 or 10. And he probably will play. I don't think he's going to play with the ones, but I don't think that's anyone's expectation. I think he's going to help Alabama, though, in the practice field. He knows the offense. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a good player. And, again, he scored a touchdown in an Alabama football game. And, again, congratulations to MJ for earning that scholarship. It's been 5 years at Alabama.
Then there's Nico Brown from Yale, where he's in the portal. He's not really at Yale anymore. He has recorded 71 catches for 1,085 yards. That's the 3rd most in school history through the 2025 season. He is a really good player, very strong at his level. He hadn't even gotten an offer yet officially, I don't believe. But he has visited Michigan State, Northwestern, UCLA, and Washington. So this is not nobody. And like we said, Alabama needs the bodies. I would be thrilled to get this guy.
I would love to add him as the 8th, 9th, 10th guy, or even better. I mean, because I think he might be a little better than that. I'm guessing what it means when BOL talks about how he doesn't have an offer. I think what that means is Alabama's deciding what level of offer to make to get him. And in other words, let's say this is complete hypothetical. Let's say Michigan State's like, hey, we'll give you a scholarship and we'll give you some rev share. Alabama's got, is this worth a scholarship and rev share money? Because we're going to have to beat other schools in terms of that. So I think Alabama's still making a determination as to what size it's going to take. Because this isn't someone that would be expected to come in and push Latsier Brooks, Noah Rogers, Ryan Williams, Rico Scott, C.D. Morgan. Those guys, those are the ones that are going to play. I don't think he would be expected to push them.
And what may be sort of a hedge your bets kind of offer, MJ Mathis from Houston County in Warner Robins, Georgia, who's a wide receiver in this class. I mean, he is a high school senior. And he has got other offers from he was a Sanford commitment at one time, by the way, but he's got other offers.
I believe he's still committed to Sanford.
Oh, he is committed to Sanford.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, Mercer, Troy, Memphis, USM, USF, and ECU. So again, it's not necessarily your who's who, but he's 6 feet 180. He's very productive. 16 touchdown receptions last year, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. So I mean, again, I think this is sort of let's hedge our bets here and let's see what goes on. And maybe if the Nico Brown thing doesn't work out, we go back to this young kid. And I think they're going to need to get at least one, if not 2 more receivers. So I really believe one of these 2 guys will be in this class.
I think maybe 4 more. Maybe 4 more.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe 4 more. I think Alabama's going to be pretty active for wide receiver. But again, what I think people need to focus on, because I can already read the comments without even seeing them, what people need to focus on, yes, this is a guy committed to Sanford and he's a high school player, but the focus doesn't need to be on who's the starting 22, who's in the 2 deep. They got a lot of that taken care of. You have to fill out your 105 players. You need 105 players on the team. That includes depth. That includes guys you're developing. That includes guys on the scout team. You're adding for that. You're not like, hey, we think this guy might be better than Ryan Williams that's committed to Sanford. It has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with filling out the 105. And is this guy good enough to help us in that sense?
Even in practice, yeah.
Yeah. So that's That's what's going on. You have 105 scholarships to give out. You don't win points for not using those spots. You want to use all your spots.
As Homer Simpson once told Lisa when Lisa was trying to convince him to not have a barbecue because she was a vegetarian and wanted other people to be, he goes, Lisa, you don't win friends with salad. That has nothing to do with that. I don't know why I just thought of that. All right, let's talk a little TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. I mean, it can. It probably does sometimes, but let's not do it this year. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and to move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. You can upload your documents, go to your day, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and really gives peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just 150 smacks, all in, baby. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book an appointment today. Jimmy Stein guaranteed it. All right, so let's talk about the basketball game a little bit. Yesterday, I got to watch it right there in the poker room on my phone. Loved it. Every now and again, I had to cut it off because I was getting frustrated. I was like, when we went down 11 right there before the half, I was like, oh my God, this team's going to drive me nuts. And then, I kept saying, all right, I'm not going to watch. I'm just going to look at final score. And I never could do that. I always had to come back to it. And LeBaron Phylon just doing Phylon thing. Phylon. I mean, look, he can drive you a little nuts sometimes because it feels like for every 3 good plays, there's one play that you're like, what was that? But that's just the way it's going to be with him. I mean, he can be maddening at times, but his reward is a lot more than his risk. So, I mean, Phylon is just incredible. I mean, he's bucking for first team All-American. He had a shot last night where he's got these very slow developing moves that seem like literally they're happening in slow motion. And he pump fakes. He sort of takes a Euro step, then gets in the air. Another guy jumps on his back and he hits a spinning layup right at the end of the game. Reverse that was just beautiful. And he's just a dude. I mean, he's that guy. There were still some troubling things. First of all, Keaton Bristow not playing. That's troubling and encouraging because now we're still playing without Bristow and Reitzel and still getting wins. But the most troubling thing to me, Jimmy, and I really don't want to be like, oh, yeah, there's what's troubling. We were 15 to 26 from the free throw line, and we could have salted this thing away a lot sooner. I also didn't understand why on earth we had that strategy of fouling so quickly when we were up 3. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I guess they just didn't want Oklahoma taking a 3 to potentially tie the game. I think they just were like taking the Oklahoma 3 off the table and just preferred them at the free throw line and figuring out from there. The problem with that strategy is it forces Alabama to make free throws to win the game. And I get a little nervous about that because this hasn't been a super free throw shooting team the last couple of games, but they did make them when they needed to. I remember about Phylon going back to the St. John's game that opened up the season, the very first game Alabama played, or I can't remember, maybe it was the second game Alabama played. I remember on this show, I can't remember if it was before the game or after the game, sort of challenging Phylon, be the best player in this league. See if you can prove to be the best player in this league because you have the talent to do that. And it's remarkable to be the best player in the SEC in a 16-team league. The SEC was clearly the best basketball conference in America a year ago. I don't know that they can say that this year because it's not as strong as it was. But Phylon may be still a long way to go, but may be the best player in this conference in the SEC Player of the Year. That is remarkable for a true sophomore. And Yeah, he carries the team. My issue with the team at times is that we're sort of forced to have Phylon carry us at times. It would be nice if we were getting bigger production from some of the other highly capable players on the team at crunch time, but really Phylon carries us. And hey, it's good thing he's still around. And great decision by him to pass on the NBA draft last year, a draft in which he almost certainly would have been taken. Invested in himself, now I believe will be a lottery pick or close to it.
Really made me. Darian Reed ended up with 16 points for Oklahoma. I really would love to have him. Muhammad Wagi, I mean, he ended up with 6, and he was okay. I mean, 6 rebounds, not bad, but I really would have loved to have Darian Reed on this team. But Aiden Sherrell still coming into his own. 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 5 from beyond the arc, 21 points, 9 boards, 2 assists for him too. LeBaron Phylon also had 4 assists and 5 rebounds to go with his 23. But, I'm not trying to talk about the negatives necessarily in a win on the road in the SEC. And by the way, that's back-to-back road wins, which pretty much counteract that Texas home loss. Although, dang it, Texas A&M went into Texas last night and beat them. We should have beaten Texas, man. Anyway. Here are a couple other things that are disturbing, though. Taylor Bobo played 15 minutes, no points, only took 1 shot, and he was from beyond the arc.
He's playing with that broke. He's got a broken bone in his hand. But
I hear you. I'm just saying it's still a thing.
Yeah, if you're going to play that many minutes,
if you're going to play that many minutes and your only shot with a broken hand is from beyond the arc when you're 6'10" or whatever, 6'9", Noah Williamson only played 5 minutes. He had 1 rebound and a turnover. That and 3 fouls in 5 minutes, Jimmy.
That's a lot of fouls. That's a lot of fouls.
That's tough to do.
He doesn't have the foot work, I think, to avoid those foul calls. On the other hand, he is an extra 3 fouls off the bench. I mean, if you're going to, it's in some ways that's contributing in the sense of if you're preventing easy baskets. I don't know if that's the case in all 3 of his fouls. I want to say about Aiden Sherrell. Know what's reminded me of? Do you remember? I can't remember if it was his sophomore year or his junior year, but the last 2 games, he's starting to remind me of when all of a sudden Charles Bediako flipped from a defensive presence to one of the reasons Alabama was winning basketball games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Aiden Sherrell has done. I think in the last 2 games. Now, who knows if this is going to stick going forward, if it's just a blip, but all of a sudden Aiden Sherrell is becoming one of the reasons Alabama's winning basketball games. And with these big guys, you literally watch them develop, in front of your eyes. They go from just big in a presence to more skilled and more skilled and more skilled and more skilled. And then you look up and now they're one of the reasons that you're winning the games. That's what Sherrell is to me. I just hope he doesn't get too carried away with this because I'd like to see him back on this team next year.
Yeah, I mean, I really would love to have him, and you get him and Holloway back. I mean, what a great core because you're going to have a lot of new guys after that. There's 100%. But this basketball team, they did get this week off, need it desperately. Don't even know what's going on with Bristow necessarily, but would love to have him back for Tennessee. You need all hands on deck for Tennessee. Tennessee is a team that is underachieving right now, and I don't think that's speaking out of turn. They're only 2 of 3 in the league. They're 12-6 overall. They just gave up a huge lead yesterday to Kentucky to lose at home. I'll tell y'all right now, I had no problem saying this. I was pulling like heck for Kentucky because I've seen a lot of message boards for UK that say, hey, if we end up canning this Mark Pope guy, Nate Oates will be on the list, and it'll be tough to fend off Kentucky if they want your basketball coach. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But, all right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.